Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to Nature Obscura, a podcast where nature and the supernatural collide. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Grace. Each week, we share spooky happenings from the great outdoors, from cryptids to curses, ghosts to witches, and everything in between.
Now, while we love a haunted house or a scary hospital story, that's not what we're here for. We're taking you around the globe to explore where nature and the supernatural intersect.
At the beginning of each episode, we'll briefly share any spooky or naturey encounters we've had over the past week before diving into the main story.
So, Grace, have you had any eerie or earthy encounters this week?
I would say an eerie encounter. So remember last week how you mentioned you went and saw Phantom of the Opera, which I'm very envious of, but you mentioned the candelabras. So when you said that word, I knew what you were talking about. Like, I know what that is. When you said it, though, I was like, oh, I really like that word, but you don't hear it very often, right? And like every day, wouldn't you know? This past week, I literally heard that word like 8 times.
Really? That is interesting. I wonder why that happens.
I know. It was like in 2 of my audiobooks, and then I think somebody at work randomly said it, and I don't know where else I heard it, but I swear, that word was everywhere, and it was kind of weirded me out. I was like, how many times am I gonna hear the word candelabra? Like, no one says that.
No, especially, okay, audiobooks are weird enough, especially depending on, what the premise of the book is. But a coworker, I love a candelabra, and I've never said that word at work before.
I know, it was so random, and they said it, and I was like, wait, are you serious? What about you? Any eerie or naturey?
Nothing naturey except that it snowed so much that it's actually improved the condition of the dirt road I live off of because the snow has, like, compacted the you know, what is it called? I'm
Potholes?
losing the word. Potholes. I could not say pit holes. I'm like, there's something off about that. But I have an eerie work encounter update.
Yes.
I never have weird stuff happen at work. Now that I told you about, like, what happened last week, something else happened. I went on Saturday. I wasn't scheduled. I went in. I was working on some admin work in our medical room, and 2 of my coworkers were in there, and maybe I was listening to them talk or tell me about something, and then I'm kind of facing where I see the hallway leading out, and I see them to my side, and I just say, "They're talking." I don't remember what they're saying. I remember being like, "Oh." And they're like, "What?" I had seen a cat.
Inside?
Yes. Okay, so I saw a black, long-haired cat, not the head of it, but just, like, I saw the torso and its tail, and it was walking the hallway towards the bathroom. I just caught the tail, like, the back half of it, but it was, like, totally a cat. As Zatara knows what I'm talking about, I just heard him meow in the
He's
background.
he's meowing up a storm. Yeah. So you saw a cat.
Right. So it startled me so much that I said and, like, it kind of, like, interrupted the conversation. They're like, "What?" And I was like, "I swear I just saw a cat." My coworker, she's like, "Okay, wait. I saw a cat too." "When?" And she's like, "In adult room last summer." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was out of the corner of my eye. Like, I thought I was just, like, really busy, so I thought I was just, like, hallucinating." And I was like, "What color was the cat?" And she said, "Black." And then I was like, "Wait, what did" I was like, "Did it have short or long hair?" She said, "It had long hair." I'm
No.
like, "Holy shit." I don't
That's the
I know,
craziest shit I ever heard.
I know. I was like, "We need to call that pet psychic after all."
Yeah. Oh my
But I'm just
god.
like, and the thing is, like, the adult room and then where I saw him, the cat was, like, maybe 15 feet
Did you double
distant.
check there wasn't a cat inside? And I just have to
There was
say it.
not a cat inside.
I know
It
you
was
work
not
with
having a food
birds.
buffet.
There's not gonna be a cat inside. I know this,
No,
but
I was just like, "Oh my gosh." It was so weird because it was such like a it wasn't see-through. It was like a solid cat.
I'm shocked right now. So how do you feel knowing that probably like 98% sure you saw a cat ghost?
I feel great. I feel like it must be living its best life with all the birds. I do I do the can the birds sense the ghost cat, though? I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh, what if the cat is taunting the birds?
Oh, no.
The cat is living its best life. Best
For sure.
afterlife.
For sure, and I was definitely amazed, and, like, right after that happened, I was just thinking in my head, "Man, I can't wait to tell Grace about this update." It was so weird.
That is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, we have a staff meeting tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to break the news to the staff that we have a ghost cat and see if anyone else has seen it out of the corner of their eye. I doubt it,
Mhm.
but if so, like, that's insane.
Well, I like the ghost cat better than the mysterious male voice we've heard from the basement.
Well, for sure, I'll take a ghost cat any day. Like, I've heard stories of ghost cats. I think, like, the Stanley Hotel has one, that sort of thing, and that sounds like a delight. So to actually maybe have experienced one, like, that's great.
Wow, I'm kind of jealous. If I was ever gonna see a ghost, I would want it to be a cat.
Right, I know. So
My gosh.
oh, that just reminded me, it could have been an old like, a old building owner had a cat. I forgot that we have a partnership with a animal cremation company where people can't, like, either pay to do cremation or they can't do private cremation, so we have a bunch of, like, cremains of pets
Yeah, that was my
in the
first thought.
yard.
In fact, we mentioned that kind of last week without explaining it, and it probably sounded very strange. We're just
We
talking
did.
about all the dead pets in our yard.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, I don't know, there's so many options. Gotta do some ghost hunting.
Mhm. Do some research.
Yeah.
I love that.
We both had some eerie things happen this week.
I'm gonna be thinking about yours for a long time, and I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
everybody I know.
I'm so excited. I was so excited, and then our other coworker that was just in the room was like, "What the heck?" It
And
was
the
great.
fact that not only you saw it, that your coworker had seen it too.
Right, because it would have also been like a thing, like, maybe it was like a reflection of or like something, but the fact that they had also seen it out of the corner of their eye, it's so weird.
What time
Well,
was
actually,
it?
I saw it a little more head on, but yeah. What time of day? It was like 2 in the afternoon.
Man, that's just, like, not what I would expect is, like, a ghost, like, cat time. I don't know.
Right. Well, and it's also if you do have a ghost animal, and especially in a place like even like where either of us work, there's so many noises and stuff going on. Most of the time, you just think it's one of your animals and care. I don't know how noisy your frogs are, but you know what I mean? Like, or just another.
Okay, I just,
I don't
like,
know.
really fast I have questions, and I know you don't know the answers. Okay, but, like, what if like, so you just saw the tail end of this cat, right?
Yes.
Would the cat ever, like, approach you think? What would happen? Would you try to pet it? Would it be real? What if multiple people saw it? What if there was somebody it was walking towards and they tried you know what I mean? Like, what if there was someone
Yeah.
around the corner, did it disappear as soon as it went around the corner? Did it disappear because it knew you were watching? Like, I'm just so confused by this, I love it so much.
You raise all very valid questions, and what I think this is making me realize is maybe I need to bring some catnip to work tomorrow.
I think you should. I think you should.
I mean, why not? I got extra.
Few cat toys here and there, just
Yeah,
around the
it's like,
center.
"Here." But yeah, I'll bring some catnip, I'll bring my ghost tube, we'll see if it says meow, um,
Mhm. Oh my god.
and we'll go from there.
That would be so great.
So we had a lot of spooky things happen to us this week, and we're about to go to a super spooky location, so
Yeah, let's get started. Today's haunting story takes place within Zaleski State Forest, the second largest state forest in Ohio, covering nearly 30,000 acres just west of the Hocking Hills region. The forest sits on the unglaciated Allegheny Plateau, with elevations ranging from about 690 to 1,100 feet above sea level. Its landscape features old-growth hemlocks, poplar, beech, and oak forests, with cool gorges and steep hills that create habitats for an incredible variety of species. Much of the area's rock is blackhand sandstone, a thick, reddish-brown sedimentary rock found only in Ohio, formed hundreds of million years ago from ancient river and coastal deposits. Its hardness and resistance to erosion creates the steep cliffs, ledges, and gorges that define the rugged terrain, while shale, limestone, coal, and other rocks are scattered throughout. The hills are dominated by oak hickory forests, with native vines climbing rocky outcrops, and the forest floor is lush with ferns, shrubs, and wildflowers, including lady's slipper orchid, whose slipper-shaped lower petal traps insects and forces them past the pollen-bearing structures, a very precise and almost mechanical form of pollination found in very few plants. And I had no idea Ohio had a flower that cool.
right.
So I was really excited to research that one, and I've added some pictures.
They're really pretty. They are kind of Yeah, like a slipper, like a ballet flat.
Very aptly named.
Yeah.
And then there's the Devil's Walking Stick. And it's seriously, if you've never seen it, look it up. It is a heavily spined shrub or small tree native to eastern North America, and its thorns are so dense it can form near impenetrable thickets that were historically used as living barriers to keep animals out. Its massive compound leaves, each made of many leaflets, can reach about 1 meter long, the largest of any temperate tree in the United States. Lichens and mosses cling to rock faces throughout the forest, adding another layer of wild texture to the landscape. Living alongside these cool plants are an abundance of wildlife. You can spot white-tailed deer, barred owls, beaver, ruffed grouse, and even the occasional bobcat. And because I can't do an episode without talking about birds, here are some fun facts about the ruffed grouse. It's one of the most common woodland birds in North America, instantly recognizable by the dark ruff around its neck and a small crest on its head. During courtship, males perform a famous drumming display, beating their wings to make a deep, thumping sound that echoes through the forest without a single vocal call. Even cooler is the fact that the ruffed grouse populations naturally rise and fall in a roughly 10-year cycle, a pattern that still baffles scientists today.
Reminds me of the dog man.
I know.
Every 7, every 10? What's that about?
Very strange stuff. The streams winding through the gorges are home to a diverse mix of fish, from minnows and darters to smallmouth bass, all adapted to the fast flowing, rocky waters. These fish help maintain the ecosystem by supporting predators like herons, raccoons, and even the occasional otter. The forest is also home to a variety of snakes, including the harmless black rat snake and ring-necked snakes, as well as the venomous copperhead, which is Ohio's only venomous pit viper. Copperheads are shy and usually avoid humans, but they will bite if threatened. The gorges and streams also support amphibians, like dusky and red-backed salamanders and frogs such as wood frogs, green frogs, and spring peepers. These species help control insects and provide food for birds, snakes, and mammals, making them an essential part of the forest ecosystem. Marissa, you're into herping. Have you ever seen these species?
Yeah, I've actually seen all of these species, at one point or another, but the very first ever, ringneck snake I saw was in Ohio, in the Hocking Hills region, like, right near this area, and it was so magical because I'd been doing field work at this point, with reptiles and amphibians, and I just, for finding garters, otter snakes, that sort of thing. Still cool, not a ringneck snake, they're a little harder to find depending where you're at, and that we were walking the very first trail. We were in Hocking Hills for maybe, like, 1 hour. It was the very first trail, and within, like, 10 feet of being on that trail, like, no more than, like, 2 minutes, a ringneck snake, this beautiful little snake was just slithering through, and I was like, "Man, this place is magical." Reminded me I saw my first pileated woodpecker in this region as well.
Magical. Magical
Yeah,
place.
it is, and it was Thanksgiving Day, and it wasn't just, like, pecking on a main tree trunk, it flew to a branch, it was large and overhanging, and it flew to the edge of the branch, and it was swinging on it like it was a swing. Like,
How
it was so
cute.
cool.
Aw.
Yeah, it's a magical place, I love it.
This region's history is deeply tied to human activity. Charcoal production, coal mining, iron production, and subsistence farming left lasting marks on the landscape. Farming on steep slopes led to soil erosion, while logging for iron furnaces caused widespread deforestation in the 1800s. Federal land purchases in the 1930s helped restore the forest, supporting reforestation and conservation efforts. Old mine entrances remain, many now gated to protect human safety and critical bat habitats. Bats use these abandoned mines to hibernate, raise their young, and rest during migration, and disturbing them can cause them to abandon these essential sites. All of this, the forests, the cliffs, caves, and the gorges, creates a landscape that feels ancient, secluded, and alive. It's a place shaped by both nature and humans, where stories linger long after the forest grows quiet. I never knew Ohio had so much to offer.
Ohio, especially being from Michigan, Ohio does get a bad rep because there's, like, that kind of rivalry between the 2. I don't really care about football, I don't really care about rivalry, and I will say Ohio is mostly, like, flat farmland, kinda boring, but no offense. But once you get into southeastern Ohio, it is really, hilly and has, like, just really amazing habitat and places to go. In the hilly region of southeastern Ohio lies the ghost town, both literally and figuratively, you'll soon find out, called Moonville. Today, only the foundation of an old schoolhouse, the cemetery, and the infamous train tunnel remain. Despite its abandoned status, Moonville remains relatively well known due to its reputation of being haunted. In recent years, the Moonvale Rail Trail Association, a nonprofit, maintains a 10-mile long trail and has removed the railroad tracks for hiking, biking, and even ghost hunting. The trails and tunnels are open to the public, and the association's website even encourages paranormal investigators to come to the area. No one seems to know how the name Moonville originated, but some have it theorized that it was named in honor of a local grocery store owner. In 1856, landowner and farmer Samuel Coe offered the Marietta and Cincinnati Railroad the opportunity to build train tracks across his property to allow more efficient transport of lumber and coal. In return, Samuel Coe requested he could use the tracks as well to move clay and coal deposits off his land. The railroad company agreed, and the community of Moonville developed around the tracks.
That's a cool picture.
Yes, so there is a photo of it probably, during its times of operations with the railroad track still present, and you have, a man in a top hat and I think a woman in all black. She kinda looks like a ghost. Her face is all blurry where you can make the man's features out. Um,
His
but yeah,
pose, I love it.
yeah, right, he's got his hands on his hips and he's very sure of himself.
The architecture of that, though, it's so beautiful.
It's really beautiful, and it's really well intact even to this day, though it is littered in graffiti, which I'll tell you more about our experience there in a little bit. So, Moonville is primarily made up of railroad workers and coal miners. At its peak, this small town had about 100 residents, with reportedly around 23 nearby saloons. That's a high percentage of bars to residents.
100 residents with 23 saloons. That reminds me of my hometown where they said, however many churches you have, that's how many bars you can have.
Right?
That's just
That had to be
insane.
it. Seriously, especially when, it's hard to state, like, or understate how, remote this region is. So, it's very hilly, a lot of, dirt roads that are only wide enough for a single car, and you're going around tight portions of roads, and hoping no one's around the corner. So, that and a lot of bars doesn't sound like the best combination. So, the proximity of those saloons in the area did prove to be an issue, with violence stemming as well as inebriated people not paying attention and walking across the tracks at the wrong time. Yeah, railroad safety wasn't as big of a thing. It was not as regulated then as it is now.
You would think you could hear a train, though, right?
That is true.
Or maybe they didn't realize how fast the train was coming, or if you're inebriated, you just aren't paying attention at all.
Right, and it's something that so many trains were probably coming through, is kinda became, like, background noise, but the issue is, and I think the most frightening part, is a lot of times people knew the trains were coming at that point, but because they came through so fast, that long Moonville Tunnel that's pictured there, they weren't able to get out of it in time.
Oh, they were going through that tunnel. That's really scary.
Yeah, it's quite a long tunnel. So life in Moonville revolved around the railroad, and for many, it also ended there. With narrow tunnels, poor visibility, and trains that appeared without warning, accidents became an unavoidable part of daily life. Train accidents didn't just happen to those stumbling on their way home from bars, but to workers, children, and just general pedestrians. The particularly narrow tunnel made it difficult for people to get out of the way, and with trains showing up unexpectedly, people often weren't fast enough to outrun the train. Railroad workers called this section of the line the most lonesome and desolate 8 miles of tracks on this side of the US. It was apparently notoriously disliked due to its isolation and trains that would show up out of nowhere without warning. This isolation would come to define Moonville, not just as a place difficult to reach, but as a place where help was far away and where tragedy often went unseen. The town of Moonville would not have boomed without the Hope Furnace nearby. This area was one of the largest iron producing regions in the nation due to having all the raw materials necessary to manufacture charcoal iron. The railway tunnels of Moonville helped transport this vast amount of iron. This furnace was tended for 24 hours a day, needing consistent fuel to keep the charcoal fires, with night watchmen tending the fire overnight. So much lumber was needed to keep the flame ablaze that the surrounding forest was stripped of lumber.
Such a different time where people actually had to work 24/7, so hard, just to keep a fire going.
It
Yeah.
it's pretty grueling conditions, especially for those that had to, like, stand on top of this narrow furnace.
Wait, they were standing on top of it?
Yeah. So they would patrol and they'd have to, like, throw it in. So, according to legends, a night watchman was patrolling the top of the furnace during a storm in the middle of the night. He met his tragic fate of falling into the fire with lightning blinding him. He lost his footing and fell into the flames. Visitors to the area report that on stormy nights, a dark figure holding a lantern can be seen pacing what is left of the furnace. Furthermore, if lightning flashes and you're seeing that figure, he's known to disappear. I mean, I would disappear too if I saw lightning and I already got struck by it and died.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. He's probably having this flashback of lightning.
Right. I did go to this, location. It was really cool. Nothing paranormal experienced, but it was just an overcast day, no storms, and yeah, it was like 2 in the afternoon. So as the region's iron industry faded and coal operations slowed, Ville lost the purpose that had once kept it alive. As iron was found out west and diminishing the needs of operations, and with more coal mines closing in the area, the community of Moonville declined, with the last family leaving the town in 1947. One of the few remnants of the town, as I mentioned earlier, is the Moonville Cemetery. Buried there were residents of Moonville, particularly the miners, railroad workers, and their families. Unfortunately, many graves are unmarked, and burial records are often poorly documented, either incomplete or completely missing. This was apparently pretty common in labor towns. It is impossible to identify everyone buried there today due to degradation of graves marked with wooden markers, the use of field stones, and even alleged some gravestones being repurposed after the town was abandoned.
That's bizarre.
Suppo-
Repurposing a gravestone.
Right. I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. So supposedly, gravestones were reused for walkways, steps, and miscellaneous construction materials in nearby towns. This loss of identity and death and disrespect to graves have likely fueled the rumors of the cemetery being haunted. Visitors to the remains of the cemetery report sudden unease and feelings of deep sadness. Just beyond the cemetery lies the structure most closely tied to Moonville's dark reputation, that Moonville Tunnel we were talking about earlier. But depending on the source, around 27 to 35 documented deaths along this 100-foot long tunnel occurred. Its paranormal reputation is so known that local groups host guided night hikes and ghost hunting events. They even hold an annual festival by the name of Midnights at Moonville, held each October. Particularly notable are different apparitions involving floating lanterns, both along the tunnel path and around the area in general. I've already mentioned, lanterns once with the Hope Furnace. We're gonna be talking about lanterns a lot more. The ghosts around here, they're just super into their lanterns, which honestly, it's a cool effect. What's scarier, holding a modern flashlight as a ghost or holding a lantern, you know? So I get it. Here is a photo of what the Moonville Tunnel looks like at night, and this is with flash. So what's really interesting, there is no, light post, anything like that. It's completely dark out there at night. Something that I also thought was interesting, you just happen upon this location, there isn't any signage telling you what it is, what the history is. You get to this small dirt parking lot, if you can really call it that, and there's a beautiful river that runs in front of the tunnel, and there's a bridge, kind of like a suspension bridge of sorts that you have to actually walk across to get to the tunnel.
And you've been there?
Yes.
Wow. It must be really eerie knowing that that many people, 27 to 35 people, have died on that path.
Yeah, and it was pretty chilling. So I actually started researching this before I went, and then I got to go. So
That's
we
cool.
didn't do any, like, official ghost hunting. I would have loved to if we could have gone out there at night and that sort of thing, but we were able to go there during the day, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my experiences, or lack thereof, a little later in the episode. So, a general legend that likely caused even more deaths, in this tunnel is that as times grew dire, people would try to flag down trains to get much needed supplies. So people were beginning to leave, supplies were running low, and they needed help any way they could get. The trains, however, were on strict orders to not stop. They weren't able to stop in time, even if they did see the person. So a brakeman was signaling with a lantern, swaying back and forth to get the train to stop. Unfortunately, the train didn't stop, and he was struck and killed. Those that visit this area will say you can see the ghostly lantern swaying in the dark tunnel. One night, a local reported partying with a bunch of people near the railroad when his friends discovered a little cove off the creek I had mentioned earlier. It was about 200 feet from the railroad. In that cove, they shockingly found an old, rusty oil lantern. He was in disbelief. His friend, of course, took the lantern home. I'd probably do the same. I
Honestly,
mean,
I would too.
it's kind of like Finder I don't know, it's
It's treasure,
nobody's
basically.
yeah, it's treasure, exactly. Other locals spread rumors that satanic rituals are performed there, but there is no evidence or official reporting to back this up. Over time, stories surrounding the tunnel began to take shape. Let's discuss the four main spectral beings that haunt this tunnel. First, there is the engineer, who is said to have been crushed by an oncoming train the spring of 1859 and was reported in the local paper, the MacArthur Democrat, dated March 31st of 1859, a brakesman was fatally injured when the wheels passing over and grinding to a shapeless mass the greater part of one of his legs. Ugh, talk
Oh
about
my
graphic.
goodness.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Witnesses report that the figure appears to be walking the non existent tracks as if still on the job, even reportedly moving toward visitors before disappearing. He's often holding a lantern, though some say that lantern may move independently instead of him holding it, just drifting beside him. And those that witnessed it said it definitely wasn't a flashlight. Again, lantern, cooler than flashlight.
Yeah, if I saw a ghost with a flashlight, I'd laugh.
So another ghostly figure is dressed in dirty overalls and may also swing a lantern. Again, common trend. Um, What the heck? It's also a brakesman? Didn't I just say it?
So many brakesmen in this area getting
There's a
hit
lot of
by
brakesmen,
trains.
there's a lot of engineers, and the thing is, they talk about 4 different entities, but there is a lot of overlap between 2 of them that I don't know how you can tell they're different or it's just the same apparition doing different things.
Mhm.
So, again, railroad broker, he's tied to a fatal accident on this length of tunnel. He is often seen with his head down, walking the tunnel as if examining the tracks and looking for any needed repairs. He also happens to be associated with another far more eerie sighting, a man close to 8 feet tall with eyes that glisten like balls of fire.
She wants to be a part of the podcast.
It edits her out pretty good, so
Wait, can I tell you something while she's barking? So,
yes.
my manager, he said that he listened to Dogman today,
Mhm.
and he sat down, he's like, "It kinda seemed like you guys were into Dogman." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You guys just kept talking about his abs and, like, just, like,
Really?
his muscular legs."
We were making fun of him!
That's what
Oh,
I said.
no!
Well, I told him, I was like, "Well, we went through this thing where we, like, did a whole recording and we, like, really emphasized his abs, and then it wasn't recording, and then after that, we kinda just, like, kept emphasizing the abs because we thought it was funny." But
Yeah.
now, like, apparently, it sounds like we're really into Dogman sexually.
No!
I know.
We need to have a correction corner at the top of next week's episode. Listen, dog I'm gonna blame that on him being a guy and just that's a guy, right? He's a guy, right?
Yeah.
He's just not understanding the nuances of
It's so
that's
good.
hilarious.
I know. It is so funny. And that's, like, our
Goodness.
first episode ever.
I know. It's like, this is yeah, they're furries. It's like, "Oh, okay.
We're
Good
into
God."
Dogman.
Yeah, Jesus, that's so funny.
I know.
So the man is thought to be Frank Lawled, who was killed in a train collision in 1880 when 2 trains traveling opposite directions failed to notify each other of their routes and crashed into one another. This was recounted actually in a news article from the time. Quote, a ghost, after an absence of 1 year, returned and appeared in front of a freight at the point where engineer Lawled had lost his life. The ghost is seen in a white robe and carrying a lantern. The eyes glistened like balls of fire, and surrounding it was a halo of twinkling stars. And this was actually from the Chillicothe Gazette in 1895 is when that, news report was published, which it's so fun seeing old news articles talking about, paranormal and supernatural phenomena. Though I guess actually during this time, spiritualism and this sort of thing in general was a lot bigger and more prominent in the US. So another common apparition to the area is known as the Lavender Lady, who apparently haunts the trail in a white dress, of course, searching for her fiancé who worked on the railroad. While in search of her beloved, she was allegedly struck by a train and her ghost haunts the area. Not much is known about her, though witnesses commonly report smelling her lavender perfume as she passes by them. She does not interact with witnesses and appears calm and non-threatening.
That just seems kind of dumb, doesn't it? She's just, like, looking for someone, and then she looks behind her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, a train!" And then she's just, like, killed
Yeah,
by a train
there's
as she's
always
wearing,
gotta
like, a
be.
white dress.
Of course, and of course it's a white dress, there always has to be that damsel in distress ghost. It would've
Mhm.
been cooler if she was a woman working as a train engineer, but it would've been
Exactly.
sad because she did die, but, like, I would've been really into that, it's like, "Okay."
Mhm. She's working
And her
hard.
ghost comes up to, like, women and children that visit the tunnel, and she encourages them to follow their dreams.
I love that you are creating lore right now.
Yeah, that's my lore, and actually, I did see her when I went in December. So, the last and most mischievous spirit is often referred to as the bully spirit. He was a local resident that is known to throw rocks at people passing by. His name is David, nicknamed Baldy Keaton, and was 65 years old when he died in suspicious circumstances. He was known to start fights, and one night he had gone to a nearby saloon. After spending some time at that saloon, he supposedly ran into some trouble, which wasn't out of the norm for him. He made his way home. Theories suggest that he had been murdered or that he had been attacked and thrown down to the tracks below.
Oh, no.
The mysterious death remains unsolved to this day. Witnesses that have encountered Baldy report rocks falling around them with no one above the tunnel passage to be throwing those rocks. It's also noted that activity tends to increase when people spend prolonged periods of time in the area or when they mock the legends of the hauntings. In one instance, during an investigation, it was completely quiet, except for the summer insects and the background chatter of some paranormal investigators when someone asked if Baldy was there. Someone was then promptly hit by a rock. With these legends having been passed down for generations, Moonville's reputation has only grown in the modern era. As paranormal investigators begin documenting their own encounters, including their encounter with Baldy. With the area being well known for its hauntings and ghost hunting being encouraged, there are several reports of supernatural phenomena occurring in the area. EVPs, or electron voice phenomena, during investigations have caught voices ranging from whispers to louder, distinct voices, ranging from phrases like "get out" to "oh God" and "no." During one investigation, after a ghost hunting group turned off their lights, leaving them completely in the pitch dark, one EVP recorded a voice saying, "Come closer." No thanks.
I
That's when I
don't
walk away.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So I did put some pictures here. This is Moonville Tunnel. So it is littered in graffiti and it is
No.
very long.
Yeah, you can't really tell from the picture how long it really is.
Right. I feel like it looks shorter in the photos than it does feel when you're inside of it, and it is relatively narrow as the graffiti lining the tunnelway has a mix of good and bad. So there's like Mario graffiti and Simpsons, and then you have things like 666 and This Is Hell. So, it just shows the real duality of man. I did, of course, have the GhostTube app on, and strangely enough, I didn't get any thing on the GhostTube app when we were in the tunnel itself, but when we were walking the bridge towards the tunnel above the running water is when it was most active. As soon as we stepped on the bridge, it said, "Look closely," and, like, we're facing the tunnel. I was like, "Okay, strange," and we're walking a bit, but we're, like, taking our time, we're walking slowly with Junie, my parents are far behind. It says, "Move quickly." Start moving faster, it says, "Succeed." and then it says some, don't know what that means. And then nothing happened. We were in the tunnel area for about 20 minutes, that sort of thing, talking. I was telling him about, the legends of the area. We were walking back, and as we stepped on that bridge again, it said, "He won't leave."
Oh my
One of the
god.
engineers said, I don't know. But, yeah, who
I
knows?
like that
But
it said move quickly because it's like people were probably running away from trains in that area, trying to outrun them because they were gonna get hit.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't think of that. You're totally right, because it would've went through the track would have been there.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's so
How
cool.
accurate those are.
So, another thing, I didn't hear this at all, but, when we were in the tunnel, my mom swore she heard a train.
No.
Yeah, she swore it. We were like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, summer." Okay. She insisted, and she has no reason to lie about it, so I thought that was fun. Other people have heard, interesting things too. So, diving back into what others have found. During investigations, distinct footsteps are commonly heard with numerous reports of running feet towards them with no one in sight and the sound stopping abruptly. Quackenbush, who is a local paranormal expert in all things Moonville. She's one of the people that have, I think she has a whole book on the Moonville history and the hauntings there. And as well as doing that, she does some guided tours. She states that these encounters will occur even when groups are spread out and not near one another, ruling out any mistaken sounds of colleagues or just pranks.
To me, it sounds like there's running footsteps and then they stop abruptly because that's when the person got hit and killed by the train.
You're so smart. I like didn't think of that either. That's so true. Goodness
It's
gracious, my
morbid, but that's
brain.
exactly where my brain went.
That's so true. That's why your brain is really good at picking up on the morbid things. That's why you were so good at that, like what is that death charades game I have?
My god, I was so good. I got every single one. There was
You
one where it
even
was
got
like
the
a
custom one?
turtle, like, hit on the road or something, or something like
Yes.
that. Oh,
So
like
for the
roadkill.
listeners,
Oh my god.
yes, there's a game called Death Charades, which is a morbid game, but basically you get a card, and instead of, like, it being playing basketball or something, you act out a way of dying and they have to guess what it is. Grace got every single charade correct without fail, including a custom one I put in that said, got hit by a car while trying to rescue a turtle from the road or something
So
very specific.
specific.
And everyone was dead silent as I'm like trying to like do this motion or and you're just like struck by car while trying to rescue a turtle. It's like, what the
Hey, I've
It
been
was so
there,
good.
okay? Not struck
It
by a
was
car
so
while
good.
saving a turtle, but almost, you know?
Right. You knew, it was so
Ah,
good.
oh my.
So, a natural light phenomena has also been seen, described as bright blue balls of light, flickering orbs, and other phantom lights that do not reflect the equipment of the ghost hunters or flashlights or headlamps, or I'll say lanterns, even for that sake. In one particularly intense investigation, the temperature reportedly suddenly dropped around 15 degrees Fahrenheit in the tunnel, with the investigators describing the air as changing suddenly with almost an electric feeling. The described feeling unwelcome and feeling intense dread, and for some of those there, even panic. Whether these experiences are the result of imagination, history bleeding into the present, or something more, Moonville leaves many visitors with the same feeling that they are not alone. And if you do decide to visit, be sure to check out that nearby Hocking Hills region too. And maybe don't forget your ghost hunting equipment.
Very nice. I love that you've been to this place too.
It was really cool. I would love to go back and spend more time. I really wanna go at night and, ghost hunt. I think it'd be fun, especially because it's a place where ghost hunting is, like, encouraged. A lot of places, if you go ghost hunting, you either have to pay $1,000,000 for, like, 2 hours or even an hour, or they don't encourage it. So, the fact that, the nonprofits that are taking care of this area and keeping it upkept for people to enjoy, encourage it, I think is great. Um I suggest maybe we go ghost hunting here and we'll do it on a clear night so we can like I don't know, do some astronomy, look at
Mhm.
some stars. There is a dark sky park nearby, but I mean the whole region is completely dark. So,
We could go owling.
oh yes, I want to go owling again. I've gone once without much success. So,
Same. Yeah. Right. Very cool. Thank you for all of that. Very spooky, and I'm still shocked that that many people died there. You would think after like 10 at at most, people would kind of get the hint, be like, "Hey, we gotta watch out for this tunnel specifically, or maybe even put up signs. I don't know.
So true, especially when at the town's capacity. Obviously, not everyone that worked on that train walked that train lived in that town, but again, very small area, low population, around 100 residents. You're telling me
Yeah.
25 to 30, that's over a quarter of the population. Um, yeah, I that is pretty bizarre, and, these were reported deaths that, I think Quackenbush was one, and there was another resource, and they kind of conflicted. One said 27, one said 35, but they were, like, reported, documented deaths, like, these did happen.
So at least
Um
27,
right, which
which
is
is an insane
insane.
amount.
Even if, let's say all of this is just everyone's seeing the same weird hallucination. 27 deaths on that for such a rural area and such a small town is very extreme and just strange all in and of itself.
I'm glad that this story didn't take the form of a ghost train coming at you while you were walking down the tunnel.
Kinda wish it did.
You
That would have
think
been
you would like that?
for storytelling purposes, yes. If I were in there, no.
No way. Like, 10 out of 10 scary, like, you think you're about to
Right.
die.
And at least, it's people I guess with the ghosts that are present, it mainly seems that they don't know they're dead, which I think is a good thing, or they're just hanging out in the tunnel. Um, but it's good that they're not, like, reenacting their death or anything. Because when you said that, I started to think, "Oh my gosh, what if there's a ghost train and then you just see the person, like, they're in, like, that residual haunting, but it's just their death over and over?"
Yeah, but also, in that case, I'd feel so bad for the ghost having to relive that over and over.
I know.
But at least the one guy, he gets to just throw stones at people. He gets to throw
Yeah.
rocks at people for the rest of his life. Or well, for the rest of
Afterlife.
his unnatural life. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So are you ready for the scare scale?
I am.
What if you were just like, "No,
No, I'm
no,
not ready. I
no."
need more time to ponder. I feel pretty
Alright,
good with this week's decision, I think, but I'd like to hear how you present the scale.
alright. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is barely spooky, doesn't faze you. A 5 is delightfully creepy, something that you tell your friends at a get together, you kind of laugh about it. But 10, it's cancel your plans, hide under a blanket, it's life altering fear. Where do you stand?
Okay, okay, we got some good options here. I'm gonna go with 3.
I was thinking that too, 3, because it's not so scary where it's gonna traumatize you, but it's a cool scary. Like, "Oh my gosh, I experienced this, and I get to tell everyone that I saw a ghost or I heard a ghost, heard a sound." Like your mom, she heard the train. I think that's awesome.
right. I agree. I think the most startling thing would be if you saw with a ghost with glowing eyes of fire, but again, that's kinda cool. And they're just watching, they're just working, they're on the job. I would definitely say more cool than creepy.
Mhm. I think we should go ghost hunting here. I think all our listeners should also take a trip here, go ghost hunting.
They encourage it. They want you to visit the region, so do it. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of Nature Obscura. Thank you, everyone, for taking a listen, and we hope you enjoyed attending this destination as much as we did through your ears. And maybe one day with your feet, I guess. So make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to email us your spooky stories or any weird outdoor things that have happened to you. Or even if you just have a story suggestion and you're like, you really need to cover this place, you can email us or fill out the form on our website. But the email is natureobscurapod@gmail.com.
And give us a 5-star rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. Stay obscure, Earthlings.
Transmission ending.